Hello there, and welcome to Canned Sanity. Today we're going to be making an easy pasta sauce. I've just run out of all my canned tomato sauce from tomatoes that I grew in my garden last fall. And so today I'm going to be making my pasta sauce with diced tomatoes, and you'll see just how easy that is to do. All you need is some onions, garlic, diced tomatoes, string tomatoes, some olive oil to saute your onions and your garlic. And then if you want to thicken the sauce, you can add some tomato paste. And you want to add some salt and pepper. And then that's a basic tomato sauce. If you want to add some additional flavor, you can add some fresh herbs. I happen to have some fresh oregano that I just picked out of my garden. It's May 1st, and I'm so happy to be able to get something out of my garden already. And so that's what I want to flavor my pasta sauce with. But if you have some fresh basil, that's excellent in this pasta sauce. In fact, I love putting lots of basil in my pasta sauce. I just don't happen to have that right now in my garden, so that's why I'm going to use my oregano. But you can use parsley and you can use thyme as well, just to add some additional flavor to your pasta sauce. So let's get started. Okay, so when I make my pasta sauce this way, I cook everything down and then I puree it with a hand blender. And usually I just chop my onions up really easily, just coarsely by hand, but I have my food processor here, so I'm just going to throw everything in there and just give it a couple pulses, and that's it, and then I'll put that in the pot to saute. So let's get started. Okay, so I peeled 5 medium, this one's a small onion. Your onion preference, onions can be a preference. This is how many onions I like to put in with 4 cans of diced tomatoes, and then lots of garlic. I have 8 cloves of garlic here. So for my food processor, I'm just going to make it easy by cutting them in half and then throwing it in there. And this just has to be coarse. You don't have to have a fine dice here because you're going to puree everything. So just throw everything in there. And I've had this food processor. It's a KitchenAid. I've had it for 25 years. And it's still really strong. I just love KitchenAid product. So just click and I'm just going to pulse those up. That's it. And that's all pulsed up and ready to go. So really easy when you have a food processor. So now we're going to move over to the stove. I have my olive oil in my pot. We're just going to throw this in there and get a nice good saute going on. Okay, so I have my olive oil. I have about 3 tablespoons of olive oil in the pot. It's been heating up for a bit. And I'm just going to throw those right in there. Got a nice sizzle going on. I see I've given this a stir. I got a chunk here, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to puree this in the end. So, just give that a stir. Saute it up a little bit. Now you can saute this for a couple minutes, just to kind of sweeten the onions, but you don't have to. If you want to just get a good, get them cooked for a couple minutes, that's plenty. I'm always, when you ever pan that hot, I don't want to burn my garlic, so sometimes I'll put the onions in first if I want to saute them down longer, and then put the garlic in later, but I put it all together, so I turn my oven, or my element down, actually off, so get that going for a couple minutes. Flavor there. You see that they're starting to turn translucent. once that's cooked down a bit, then you can add your strained tomatoes, which is just a puree of tomatoes. I usually use 2 of these in my sauce, but I only had 1 today, so that's fine. It'll work just fine. I'll just have to reduce my sauce down a little bit more with all the diced tomatoes. And then you'll add your 4 cans of diced tomatoes. This one. 2. 3. 4. Stir. And now add some salt and pepper. Don't really need to measure. I just will add like about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half. You can always season your sauce after it's cooked for a while. Add some more seasoning if you'd like to add more. And then I'm just going to use kosher salt. So I'll put this much in. If you're going to use table salt, you're going to use less than that. But kosher salt, I'll use about a tablespoon. And then just because I want to thicken it up a little bit, I will put some tomato paste in there too. You don't need to use this. You could just cook your sauce and just cook it longer, and it'll thicken up the longer you cook it. But just because I don't want to cook it for too long. So put that in there. And give that a stir. And now I'm going to bring this up to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer, and then I'm going to simmer it for, you know, a couple hours. You'll have to watch it on your stove, see how thick it seems to be getting, but an hour and a half to 2 hours is a nice amount of time to get all the flavors cooked together. And then I'm going to puree it, and then I'll add my herbs. Okay, so that's simmered for an hour and a half, and look how thick that is. And so that's going to be perfect. So now I'm just going to use my hand blender, and I'm going to blend that up. Good sauce. A little bit of splatter there. Okay, so this could be blended up further, but I'm mostly going to use a lasagna, so it's got a little bit of texture left, and that's good. Look how thick that is. And so now this is your basic sauce. Now you want to add your flavors, and what I have is my fresh oregano that I just picked from my garden this morning. And so I'm just gonna, you can throw that in there and blend it with your hand blender, or I just like to see more green and not have it just blend. So I'll just bunch up the oregano and then just take some snippers and just snip it so that I have that nice beautiful flecks of green. And you want to add this at the end. I like to add a lot of herbs to my sauce, so you could stop there, but I won't. I'm going to add all of this, I think, to my sauce. And if you happen to have fresh parsley, you can use that. Like I said, I just saw this growing in my garden. It's May 1st, and I thought, oh, this is so beautiful. I gotta put this in my sauce today. I have chives up as well. It's always just so rewarding when something pops up in the garden in the spring. You can just get some freshness. I'll just stir it around and see what the distribution is. But you can see I can easily add way more herbs because this is a big pot. This is a 12-liter pot, and it's half full. So I'll use at least half of this in a lasagna, and then I'll probably freeze the rest of the pasta sauce so that I have it for spaghetti meatballs. And that's the great thing about making the pasta sauce this big is, you can use it for a lot of things. You don't have to just use it with just spaghetti. Like I said, I'm making this for lasagna, and then you can use it on your pasta, or you can even use it as a pizza sauce. I use all my pasta sauces for pizza sauces. I don't make it any special pizza sauce. And if you like to dip bread in sauce, you can even use this as a dip because it's so beautifully thick. So that's all I brought. I could easily put more oregano in there. And so you can just taste that, and if you want to add more salt or pepper, you can add it, but it's just perfect as it is. Now, I have some ground beef here, and that's 1 pound that I fried, and I'm just draining the fat off, and I'm going to take out half of this sauce, and I'm going to, like I said, use it for my lasagna. And I like to put meat in my lasagna, so I'll take half this sauce out and set it aside, and then I'll throw my meat sauce or my meat in there, and now I have my beautiful lasagna pasta sauce. Okay, so as you can see, making a pasta sauce is really easy, and so I put the sauce in here with my meat so that I'm ready to make my lasagna, and I have this sauce ready to go into the freezer when it cools down. And so it's really economical to make your own pasta sauce. And like I said earlier in the video, you can use that pasta sauce for pizzas, pasta, or for dips. And so at the end of this video, after this video is over, I'm going to just assemble my lasagna. And so if you want to stay tuned, just keep watching. And if all you tuned in for is to see how to make the pasta sauce, then we'll see you next time. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and that I hope that if you are enjoying the videos that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to cansanity.com to check out all the other recipes that are there waiting for you. See you next time. Okay, so to make a lasagna with your fresh pasta sauce, what I usually do is I have my meat sauce here, and I have sauce here that doesn't have any meat. So I start my pan off with a little bit of sauce with no meat, because then there's no lumps and bumps in there. You can use your meat sauce, but this is just how I do it. And I just put a thin layer of this pasta sauce down in the pan. Now, I like to use the boiled noodles. I use oven-ready noodles, but my favorite is Barilla. And I always boil up a little bit of extra noodles. And I bring my lasagna right up as high as I can. So I usually do 16 noodles that I boil. And I have my pot on the stove right now. So I'll add some kosher salt, and then I'll put these 16 noodles in that pot, and I'll boil it till they're just softened. Okay, so I have 15, not 16 noodles, and I already put some salt in my water, and you can see it's just starting to boil. And I will just put those in, and then when they soften, they actually will fit really nicely in my 12-liter pot. So you'll get a spoon, and as they soften, you can kind of stir them around a little bit, but it'll take a little while because this water is not quite up to boiling, so I should have waited just a little bit longer. So we'll just let those cook for about 7 minutes. Okay, so now you're just gonna put a layer of noodles down. These cooked for, about 8 minutes actually. So those down like that. And then you're gonna follow with your meat sauce. And I'm always very generous with my sauce because I want to have all that flavor in there. I don't want it to just be noodles. And it'll squish out, so don't worry about filling that part over there. The noodles will expand. And then I use cottage cheese, and I have to also let you know that this pasta sauce was a sauce that was taught to me by my friend Laura. Thank you, Laura, for teaching me how to make this sauce. And she always swore by using cottage cheese instead of ricotta in her lasagna, and so to this day I still use cottage cheese in the lasagna. And then I put a layer of mozzarella in there. And you don't have to make this very thick because you're going to put the cheese on the top. That's where you're going to get most of your cheese for save the cheese for the topping. And I use a little bit of my Parmesan in here too that I pre-grate. I use my KitchenAid shredder attachment to shred up my Parmesan, and then you layer with another layer of lasagna noodles, and you can kind of squish that down a little bit. And I like to try to get 15 noodles in. Sometimes I only get 12. Depends how thick my sauce is. And so just kind of squish that down. And then again, more sauce. You see, this is very full. So when I bake this, I will put it on a pan, on a baking sheet, so that if it spills, it's not going to spill over into my oven. And since that is so full, I'm going to actually steal some of the sauce that I have that I didn't put meat in it. And I'm going to just put that on top just because I can see this is really busted. So I'd rather just have just a thinner layer of sauce on the top. And so since I made so much sauce, I'm just going to put like a nice thin layer of the sauce without the meat on top. And then I'll just mix the meat sauce that I had left over back into this container and then just freeze that. So we'll have a little bit of meat in it. It'll be a nice spaghetti dinner at some point. So you see, I did put in a lot of cheese. I don't usually put that much in between the layers, so this is going to be really cheesy lasagna. And so then you top it with cheese. Now this was a whole 400-gram block of mozzarella. And so I don't usually put Parmesan on the top right at the beginning because it can burn. And so I just put mozzarella on the top. And then at the end, if I want to put a little bit of Parmesan on top, I put the Parmesan on, and just at the very end of baking. But generally I don't bother putting the Parmesan on top because we're going to serve it with Parmesan anyways. So that's pretty thin. So I have some cheese that I had left over from something else. And so I'm just going to add a little bit more cheese. And you can see this is a bit curly, and that's because I used my KitchenAid shredder for this cheese, and it comes a little curly rather than straight. And there's a little bit of orange cheese in here just because I had shredded up some orange cheese for burritos, And I don't care if that goes on top too. It'll all taste really good. So that's about how I would make the lasagna. And now I'm gonna save this for tomorrow. You can put that in your fridge and bake it the next day. You're gonna bake it at 375, covered for about 30 minutes, and then you can take the cover off and cook it for another 15 minutes. And but don't cook it right from the start uncovered because your cheese can burn. And so that's that. That's making a lasagna.